Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from 6, and today we are checking out, well, it was originally called Don't Expect Much from the Boruto Timeskip, but I think he's now changed it to Why the Boruto Timeskip Will Suck. Because Boruto isn't really doing a lot, is it? But we don't know what to expect from the timeskip. I've seen a lot of theories and speculations as to what could happen next. It can't. It's actually not far off from the next chapter, is it? Really, it's usually like the 15th, isn't it? Is that around about the date? So we'll find out what's happening next. People are thinking that Sasuke is going to clock on to what's happening because Boruto is got Sasuke's headband on. Sarada's not affected, so Boruto and Sarada are obviously going to be running away together. We don't know what's happening with Code. And another one that someone pointed out is the fact that the guy that looked like Jiraiya, I can't remember his name, he was a clone of Jiraiya, is potentially still out there. But I was thinking about this as I was just walking up the stairs to record this. There's people like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to see Boruto being trained by him as a, kind of thing with Jiraiya and Naruto with the time skip between part 1 and 2 of Naruto. But why, in my head, I'm like, instantly, it's like, surely he's still affected by what's changed everyone's memories as well, but then maybe he would. I don't know. So, anyway, let's see what Six has to say on the matter, shall we?
A few weeks ago, or maybe even more than a month ago, I did a video on why I thought the time skip
And you went
between
wrong.
Naruto Part 1 to Shippuden was sort of worthless.
Yeah.
I went over why the characters didn't make too much progression
No.
between the two parts, or at least not enough to warrant the amount of a time skip that went down. The time skip was around 2 to 3 years, depending on where you get your sources from. I tend to go with just somewhere over 2 years, since
Yeah.
that's what they say in the original manga. But like I said, it varies from source to source. Maybe you can get 3 years, maybe you can just get closer to 2. But one of my main points in the entire video is that the time skip could be shortened down from 2.5 years to maybe 3 months or 6 months without too much of a difference in what's actually happening. And
Yeah.
if anything, in some cases, it would only serve to bolster the story and certain characters to make them more impressive. Like, let's take Sasuke, for example. Sasuke got extremely strong within the 2.5 years
He
between
did.
Naruto Part 1 and
He
Part
had a
2. So
change.
strong, in fact, that Tsunade and Sakura seemed to get it the idea that Sasuke was taking performance-enhancing drugs
Yeah, must have
in
to
order
get to
to
where he was
get
at.
this
Yeah.
insane level of strength that he acquired. Now, take
Naruto says, and I was like, oh, he's doing okay.
the 2.5 years, shorten it down to maybe 6 months, and you have Sasuke, or even 3 months, you have Sasuke becoming an even bigger prodigy than we had him in the original series. Now, that in itself could present a problem, but I think Naruto in general is pretty fast paced. Like, between Naruto and Part 1 and Part 2, that's a bigger time skip than how long Part 1 was and how long Shippuden was. So I don't think
Yes.
it's that insane to think that Sasuke could grow that much within that little gap, especially considering the progress he makes in Shippuden and then the progress Naruto makes in Shippuden compared to Part 1. One of the things I didn't mention in that video is that Naruto progressed throughout Part 1 at a much faster rate and got more things than he did in the bigger time span in the time skip between Part 1 and Part 2. So
Yeah.
that was another reason I thought it just had a shortcoming. But it got me thinking. I was looking back on that
And then
video.
it's like, what's with Boruto?
Boruto's time skip is coming up, and everyone is super hyped for it. Everyone thinks it's going to be the turn.
Yeah, it's weird. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be sick." It's like, why do you think that? Like, just because we've had like one kind of cool twisty moment happen doesn't mean it's gonna make everything else awesome. We've already seen this in the very first chapter. Like, I don't know what to expect, and I'm not getting my hopes up. Like, I'm not.
Point in the series. Don't switch up after the time skip. That's what everybody says. But should we really be expecting the Boruto time skip to be so incredible, especially given what Kishimoto has in the past? So I'm gonna go over a few examples here, a few scenarios in which the Boruto time skip might not be all that it's hyped up to be, and some things in the series that I think might indicate this. And I think that sometimes we put more stock into things than we're actually supposed to, and then we end up getting disappointed
Very
because our
much so.
expectations were
I think a lot of people are going to be very disappointed because a lot of people are putting this really high up in the hype scale, and I'm just not with it.
so high. but the writers didn't see it that way when they originally planned it, or whatever the case may be. But before we get started, I'd like to ask if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well, as
Original videos in the description.
and I would obviously greatly
Go
appreciate
leave a like on it.
But yeah, let's get started. For my first point here, I want to take a look at Boruto's time skip design from chapter 1 of the manga and then episode 1 of the anime, whichever one you prefer. The point is still the same. What's the glaring difference here between Boruto here and Boruto for the majority of the series up to chapter 78? What's the big difference here? Aside from the fact that he's older, what's the major difference? It's that giant slit through his right eye. And that giant slit through his right eye made everyone think that this scar, for some reason, was going to be gotten in a super specific way. There was tons of fan theories on it as to how Boruto got this scar before the time skip, after the time skip, during the time skip. When did Boruto get this scar and how was he going to do it? There were some people thinking that Boruto was going to cut his own eye out because he doesn't like Momoshiki, because Momoshiki kept possessing his body or whatever.
And it was always that side. Yeah.
Thought that it was because he was just getting a new eye. He was getting the Jogan, so he had to get rid of his other eye or something along those lines. Point being, people put tons of stock into this scar, and then it turns out the reason Boruto got this scar, or how Boruto got this scar, was Kawaki slashed him across the face while he was protecting Sarada.
That was it.
Now, I don't think that that's a bad way to get the scar. It's certainly underwhelming if you listen to all the fan theories.
There was so much speculation that it was just, oh, okay.
And then started believing them, which is a major problem. And I think that this might happen with the time skip as well.
Yeah, everyone's coming up with so much stuff, and it's just going to be so, just a thing. It's just going to be a thing.
Well, we've been so at the idea that the Boruto time skip is going to completely change the course of the series and make it so much better that I don't think anyone stopped to think like maybe it just won't. Now, if it does, because I already like Boruto, I like the Boruto manga a lot, so it doesn't have to change a lot.
I mean, the manga's okay. Like, I think it's okay. It's definitely got better as it's gone on. The anime's terrible. Don't watch the Boruto anime. But yeah, the manga, it's okay. It's okay, but I do feel like everyone is setting, like, the creators themselves are not doing it. The fans are setting themselves up for a very big, disappointing, like, kind of story reveal.
After this time skip, for me to keep reading the series, right? It might have to change a lot for me to start watching it, but it doesn't have to change a lot for me to keep reading the series. So that leads me to my next question, which would be, should Boruto change? Boruto, since the beginning of the franchise, like I said this before many times.
Well, you know, the manga's doing okay. I think it's doing okay, but you know, if it's not broken.
At the beginning of the franchise, since then, Boruto has failed at capturing Naruto's general audience. To say that people ignore Boruto for the most part or just don't like it literally isn't doing the state of the community justice. Most people would rather not watch Boruto or just say Boruto is not canon than actually give it a fighting chance. Now, I will say the majority of that is probably due to how the Boruto anime is handled, and people generally don't like the Boruto anime.
Yeah, because it's just the pacing, the filler, everything. Ugh, the way it started with just filler is like nightmare fuel.
Because of the filler it adds in. And the filler it adds in, well, it can be good sometimes. It's bad most of the time.
Majority of the time, yeah.
Relatively poor animation, sometimes an uninteresting story. And with people, you know, generally just hopping on the anime more than manga, I could see how people wouldn't really like Boruto that way.
Yeah, like anime is more appealing than manga, isn't it? 'Cause it's like something visual. It's easy to digest. You're not having to go out and, you know, buy it or like seek it out. It's just there. But yeah, the anime. I feel like the anime really did a massive disservice. I feel like there should have been a longer time in between Naruto and Boruto with the anime coming out. They should have just waited just a little bit longer, because it just starts off with filler and it's just I say this every time. 67 episodes. I gave it 67 episodes. That is a good goddamn time to try, and I just fell off of it after that because yeah, the Momoshiki fight was sick, and then after that I was like, oh, it's boring again.
At the time of recording this video, Boruto Part 1 has ended, at least according to the anime section.
Oh yeah, the anime's taking a break, isn't it?
The Part 1 of the Boruto anime has ended. So I would hope with Part 2 they're able to step things up in this regard and not
Take a
do
break
as
and do
much
something
filler.
with it. Yep.
And if they do filler, maybe it can be a little bit more planned, maybe a little bit more adding to the story
Yeah, not just like, oh, we're gonna buy burgers and trade cards.
rather than the sort of random junk it feels like now. And that's not to disrespect anyone who happens to enjoy Boruto's filler. I'm just saying that it's kind of hard to disagree that people generally do not like it. So
Yeah.
perhaps it should change, especially if, we're being charitable here. They're building this Boruto franchise for people to read and enjoy. And if it's not resonating with the audience, something needs to change. Something like MCU Thor. MCU Thor was this big, like, Chad man. And then they changed him into more comedy-like.
He's a more comedic character, yeah.
With the audience, no one really liked Thor when he was like that. So I guess
Man,
to end
I
this section
did.
off, I have a genuine question. So, if Boruto happened to change post time skip and Boruto Part 2 was produced significantly better than Boruto Part 1, would you start watching the anime or would you start reading the manga? Would you catch up or would you just immediately...
I mean, I'm still going to keep reading the manga regardless because it's continuing Naruto's story, but the anime, I don't see me ever getting into it, man.
Start with the time skip? That's a question I genuinely want the answer to because I want to understand the community a bit better. Obviously, because I make videos for the community, and I'm also just kind of genuinely interested in people's answer to this.
Yeah.
I think now is a good time to bring up how little we actually know about this time skip.
Yeah, we don't know anything.
We get Chapter 1, Episode 1,
That's
and
it.
then the last episode of Boruto. Those are the only glimpses into the future that we get for this period of time.
And didn't they add as well? I need to check it out actually if this is true. Let me know if it's true. Did they add extra scenes to the Boruto episode where you get the glimpse of the future? I have seen a couple of comments floating around where it's like, oh, they added extra stuff. Did they? Because I might actually check that out, and then that could be me getting back into the anime potentially.
And those add up to 3 pages and around 2 minutes maybe of seeing this new future world that's in store for Boruto. Everyone thought we were getting a flash forward in chapter 75 whenever Boruto saw like the future through Momo's eyes or whatever. But then we can find out that just happened in chapter 79. Like it was just everyone being mad at Boruto or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 pages or 3 pages and 2 minutes in general. And a lot of it is still very vague. Like, we don't know why Kawaki wants to send Boruto to the same place he sent Naruto, because for the last
He's
few
been saying he wants to
chapters,
kill
since
him.
Chapter
Yeah.
66, apparently the plan for Kawaki is to kill Boruto
And keep Naruto safe.
so that Naruto can be safe. And
Yeah.
he's fine with Naruto killing him once he pulls him back out of that dimension that he stored him in, which was Ishiki's timeless dimension or whatever. So Kawaki wanting to send Boruto to that dimension now
Don't make sense.
doesn't really make any sense
No.
because it's effectively the same thing as killing him, which he's already wanted to do for some time now. Like I said, since chapter 66. We're on chapter 79 at the time of recording this video. It's going to be 80 in a few days.
Nice.
So Kawaki's had this goal, at least real world wise, he's had this goal for over a year. So it doesn't seem right that he would switch up and want to send Boruto away to the other dimension.
Because it seems like to me the plan is just get rid of the Otsutsuki, just absolutely annihilate them, right? If me and Boruto are the last 2 Otsutsuki, I want to kill Boruto, then I'll bring you back, Dad, and then you can finish me off, and then that's done. And it's just very contradictory in the way that he's doing things.
It especially doesn't make sense because it wouldn't really solve his problem, I don't think. I mean, yeah, Boruto would be out, but then he would have nothing. He has nothing other than that. I guess it could be setting up this sort of narrative where Kawaki is just completely selfless and he doesn't care if Naruto kills him.
Yeah,
or
that's what I get.
Just so long as Naruto is safe, he just wants Boruto and all the other Otsutsuki out of there. Which could be a pretty interesting aspect to his character. So if that does happen, and it seems like it could happen, given everything I just mentioned, I don't think that that's a necessarily bad way to take it. It's just like I said, there's generally so many things about the time skip that we have no idea
No.
about. People debate heavily about whether or not this page shows that Boruto has the Jogan in the manga or not, just because in the manga it doesn't have the black sclera like it does in the anime, which I mean it could just be a design difference, you know, who really knows. We won't really know
Yeah.
until the time skip actually happens or until we see Boruto actually awaken the Jogan. Now I will say I don't think it's the Byakugan because Boruto's Byakugan just got slashed through. There's also a pretty big drawing difference between the Byakugan and
what
this
that
eye.
is.
This
Yeah,
eye
yeah, yeah. It's very different.
is a lot smaller than how Akimoto generally draws his Byakugan.
Yeah.
Now, the art change might make sense for some things, but for this one it doesn't really make sense because Akimoto's art style was pretty consistent for at least the first like 20 or so, maybe 30 chapters. When it changed up, we still got the Byakugan getting drawn consistently the way he drew it earlier. Like if you look at chapter 2, Momoshiki's Byakugan look the same as they do now in the manga. Like he's been pretty consistent with how he draws his Byakugan. And this eye, not only does it seem like Boruto can see out of it again, it doesn't look like how he draws the Byakugan. So
You don't got the veins and that. The veins is always the thing around the face, isn't it, with the
or if
Byakugan?
anything, just some other eye, maybe a manga exclusive eye, and Boruto gets his anime exclusive eye. Like that's the Jogan, and this is the whatever Gon. But I definitely don't think that it's the Byakugan. I've seen people argue over this sound effect here, saying, "Oh, well, this jutsu uses the flash sound effect, and the Byakugan generally uses the SHKEEN sound effect." Really, this argument doesn't make much sense at all because this argument sort of leads to the conclusion that it's not a dojutsu in general, because dojutsu in general use that SHKEEN sound effect. It's been that way since.
All right,
Naruto.
okay.
So I don't think
Never really, I've never
really
paid
anything
attention
with
to
it.
that.
I
That's
think that
mad. That's a little detail that hardcore fans must. That's cool. Okay, if as long as that's consistent, that's cool.
Flash is more so showing like, oh, he has a new eye, rather than him actually activating the eye, if you get what I mean. In the last episode of the anime, we do see Boruto seemingly activate the eye at will, but we don't really know if that's going to be like a huge thing moving forward, if that's going to be the eye he uses from now on. It might be a little bit weird because then in the anime they may imply that the Jogan is like immune to blindness or something like that, or if it's not immune to blindness, maybe when Boruto turns it on it's actually a completely different eye rather than it using his normal eye, like the same way the Sharingan and
Yeah, it
Byakugan
just
do.
like takes it over.
So I don't know, it might go in that direction, but it's going to be a little bit weird because Kawaki's in the anime, supposedly anyway, he's still going to have to slash Boruto's head in order to make it consistent with the first episode. So I mean, yeah, we really don't know, but that seems to be the direction it's headed in. The last question I have is basically, why do a time skip? I mentioned this in the intro when I was talking about
Because they opened up with this and they need to get to it because it's the most interesting thing that's happened in Boruto is the opening, and we've constantly wanted to know how we get there. I think that's it. I think that's just it. It's how does this happen? We need to get there quick. And the story that they're trying to build up isn't that interesting at the moment. I think, anyway. I think Code's been completely wasted. I hope they don't spend too much time on the whole Code with the basically his army of Zetsus, which is the Ten Tails. I can't. Code, absolute waste of bloody time, and get rid of the girl. Get rid of the girl's brother. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it, me personally. Just give us something interesting.
Naruto's time skip and how I felt like it could have been much shorter. We don't know how long Boruto's time skip is going to be. Boruto's time skip, realistically, it could be comprised of multiple time skips. Like, say, in chapter 80, we get a time skip 2 years ahead, and then in chapter 85, we
another
get two more
that'd be
years
cool.
ahead.
Why not?
It could be comprised of multiple time skips, but the point is, why have it be this many years? The explanation for the Naruto to Naruto Part 2 time skip was that Orochimaru had just switched bodies, and in order to switch bodies with Sasuke,
There's a certain amount of
he would
time.
need to wait another 3 years.
Yeah. So
My
it added a bit of tension to it. It's like, all right, if we're jumping straight to that, like, whoa.
problem with that reasoning is that is completely arbitrary. Switching bodies every 3 years is the downside of the technique, but that time period is completely abstract. Kishimoto didn't have to write it to be 3 years. He could have written it to be 6 months, and who cares? But
Yeah.
why 3 years? Maybe it's tied to some like religion stuff or something like that. I genuinely don't know, but 3 years is something Kishimoto could easily change, right?
Yeah, but then again, it makes it seem like the technique is absolutely. It makes the technique seem less effective in the way that Orochimaru is using it. If you were to say 6 months, is the way I could look at it. But like, what? The guy has to change every 6 months. That's mad. Like, what a stupid technique. But when you say he has to change every 3 years, it's like, oh yeah, the guy's got plenty of time to find a new vessel and like find a kind of like kick a Genkai that they could potentially have, or the Sharingan, things that he wants. So he's got enough time to then set up and then even train the vessel to be stronger, so that when he takes it over, it's decent for him. That's the way I'd look at that.
Now, I would be a little bit more charitable in Boruto's case if, say, Ida's ability would maybe wear off
Oh, she needs to go, man. She needs to go.
or can only be used once every 3 years.
Well, she doesn't even. She didn't use it purely through herself. It was through Kawaki as well, wasn't it?
Because, or 5 years, whatever, being like it has a cooldown sort of because it's a huge, big ability. She
It is
affected
massive. It
the
is so
entire
stupid.
world. So I
Yeah.
think it's pretty reasonable to say, oh, well, this ability, since she can't really handle it, it's really like a god's power. Has like a 2 year, maybe 5 year cooldown. Again, I'm just spitballing random numbers, but I want to know why the time skip is happening. Why was Boruto
Because we need to get away from all this and get to something decent, man.
away for so long? Because we know he's gonna have to go away. Boruto can't stay in the village. Why did Kawaki destroy the village if Boruto was away?
Maybe he didn't. Maybe it's Code that does it, where he's invading the village now and then Boruto goes away and all this stuff happens. Like,
What was the point of it
skip
all?
over it.
Why did it take so long for this
We'll find out in the time skip.
to happen? I mean, and even then, we're assuming that this is like a major time jump. Maybe this is like a year, right? And Boruto just
Maybe
had a
it-
growth spurt or something
Maybe it's 6 months.
like that. I'm just saying, why are we doing a time skip? What's the point? That's what I want to know. If you have any ideas, obviously you can leave them down in the comment section. If you like the video, obviously please leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel as well. But other than that, have a nice day.
But yeah, he's not wrong. There's probably not going to be anything exciting about it. It's just going to be. I just think because they ripped themselves into a corner at the very beginning where they shown us, everyone's been excited for that from the very beginning. So I feel like what they're doing now is it's like, let's just get to it. Let's just get to it and then continue from there. Let's do some interesting things and then go with it from there. Because if I'm honest, I don't think the story is very interesting at the moment. Like that twist with where we're at, it makes sense and it's cool. But Ada, is it her name? I don't like her at all, and I think her abilities are so freaking OP and ridiculous. Get rid of her. My brother, get rid of him, but let him explain what's going on with Naruto's sister. Sarada and Naruto run away. Cool. Have Sasuke get killed off, because he's the only potential person that could be involved in between. And then Code's going to come in, destroy the village, because the only person that could potentially stop him is Ada, and she's gone, so nothing's stopping him destroying the village, and then, boom. And then, I don't know, just, yeah, do something cool. Have the clone of Jiraiya somehow unaffected, and then, yes, actually help them train in some mad way, and then, yeah, I don't know. Boruto's just not as interesting as Naruto, and it needs to be. And I think just skip over all the stuff, show us flashbacks that Code destroyed the village, and Kawaki like eventually beat him, and then like Ada's gone, and then it's just like right. I don't know. I mean, it's like right. It took a while, and then I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, check out my Etsy shop. I got t-shirts and hoodies that you can buy that I've designed. I'll be adding a few more next week. I've got loads of designs actually ready to go, but I'm teasing them out. And thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link in the description of the Patreon page. $1 a month for last Sports channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, and leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch to discuss in future videos. I'll see you guys. Oh, you guys! I'm all hyped up. Ugh. It's only a few days till the next chapter, and we can see it and we can talk about it. But I'll see you guys next time.